Okay, off we go. I have been in resistance all day, Humanityville. I have told God, I don't know how many times, let me figure this out. Let me dissect this before I record. I don't even know what's going on with me, and I'm not ready to record. And I kept hearing him say, that's what you need to show humanity. You need to show them in real time how you go through that process. So come on in to the reality show of Teresa Marie, the traveling ambassador of Chi, who doesn't always have super high vibes. Oh my gosh. Do real people not live in high vibes? How ridiculous, right? But I do appreciate you stopping in to Free to Just Be, my podcast that I have been documenting my dance of transformation for almost 4 years now. Come October, it'll be 4 years. And if you have been following me for any length of time, you in real time have seen the evolution of a soul. And today is one of those days. So thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel and to my Facebook page and checking out my freetojustbe.com website. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate you giving me a small portion of your time, our greatest commodity. And I hope you're having a magnificent Monday. And it's interesting to me, first off, to actually see myself on a recording. It's still so weird to me. But as soon as I turn the camera on, this is what's happened. So, you, Humanityville, are what lights me up. I am here to serve, and I am the happiest when I'm doing so. So, why are you in this blue funk? That's the proper terminology, I think, a blue funk. And it's been all day. I got up at 3:30. I did my HIIT workout. I didn't walk. And let me back up. So we're gonna dissect together, so you know what I mean when I'm saying I wanna dissect this God, right? Before I come online. So the basic definition of dissect is to cut apart a plant, an animal, or a structure to study its inner parts. And that fits perfectly with this dance of transformation. I've known that I've known that I've known since I was a little kid that we came from bliss. Our Creator God put His spark, His DNA in us, the DNA that flows like that beautiful figure eight, by the way. And we have His spark of love and light and energy and electricity in us. But we as humans, doing, and we've talked about this many, many times, the distraction is 1,000-fold right now. The darkness, the demons, the archons, the Nephilim, whatever, we can have a whole show listing who they are. But the bottom line is everything humanity that takes us away from this connection with our Creator is the distraction, right? the only thing that we are really called to do is get back to that connection. And when you look at a baby, you can see that connection. It's pure. It's unadulterated. It's unblemished. It's absolute joy, and they can look out of their eyes and you can see that they are seeing something that we've forgotten. So I know that this is all part of the process. But the other part of dissecting is to analyze thoroughly. So that's what I'm going to kind of walk through with you as I've been kind of piecing it together, because once you begin waking up and you begin this process, especially when you get into observer mode. And just as a reminder, if you're new to Free to Just Be, I like in my observer, I have a little avatar. It's my Teresa Marie, my mini me, and she's about this big. And she hangs out right about here. She dresses like me. She is me. She's just little. And she's outside of this earth suit. And she fully knows that spark of God that I am trying. Like today, I feel desperate to reach that spark. Why? Because this lower frequency that I am experiencing today feels as uncomfortable to me as feeling the incredible vibration of love and light in dimensions far from me did when I first started feeling it, because I was so used to staying neutral or staying closer to the basement. So when I started going up to penthouse levels, it was uber uncomfortable. But today is quite the opposite. And why it made it more difficult. And all right, so here comes the dissection. So it's kind of like a process of elimination. And when I was in high school, one of the favorite things that I did was in lab class, in science class, we dissected a frog. And I was one of those weirdos that brought the frog home. You know, they had extra frogs in formaldehyde, and I brought it home because it was so fascinating to me to peel open and look at all these little organs, right? And that is kind of like what dissecting is. Dissecting what is going on in your frequency, in your emotional body, in your outer realm, okay? The ripples in your life. Sorry, I just kicked the camera. And that is what I've been doing today. So I was canceling things out. What's wrong? Nothing. In fact, everything has been so right. Everything has been flowing like an absolute waterfall. My classes are growing. My podcast is growing. But most important, my community reach is growing. And I had a great week of teaching. I taught 5 or 6 times this last week. And yesterday I was at an all-day event called the Moonbow Market, and it was local. And part of my delight right now is my entire life, I've always kind of felt like the Lone Ranger, as many light workers do. Isolated, even though, I mean, I have a huge family. Isolated and feeling a little bit otherworldly, right? kind of like you don't belong. The people in your life really never understood you, that type of thing, right? And I know that right now I am literally seeing unfold before me the manifestation that I have called in my whole life. God, where are my people? I hear my husband just pulled into the driveway. Where are my people, God? Uh, I need my support system. Now, don't get me wrong. I have family members that support me. My husband loves me. He he knows what I do, and while he might not understand it, he definitely is the greatest supporter and cheerleader. However, a group of people that can really understand that um, was like out of reach for me for the longest time. And I thought I found it in Florida, and to a certain extent, I kind of did. But now there is this local growing. It's like this grid has suddenly come out from behind the curtains, and one person at a time, this grid is lighting up. It's so freaking awesome. I have a network now of energy workers, light workers, healers, and we have begun to meet weekly so that we can conversate about how we're helping and serving humanity, how we can keep our cup filled, how we can uh, be sure that we're operating fully equipped, because it's very easy to get depleted when you are constantly giving your energy away. And yesterday was a great day. It was an exhausting day, though, because it was 98 degrees and it was an outside event. It was my first fully equipped display, my first, oh, you could call it a vendor show or what have you, but I have my complete setup, my canopy, my table covering, the things I put on my table, everything coordinates with my branding colors and all of that. And none of that came from a formula or somebody telling me how to do it, because I am literally walking this path in a brand new way. I've told you before that for this sister, for this human being, I can't do things the world's way. So the trend isn't my friend, right? But with God's help, I have literally, with a lot of frustration, I've built my website. I've designed my own business card. All of those things that I drug my feet for so many years, didn't feel like I need them, and all of that stuff. Everything has come together. So I'm at this event yesterday. The heat index was like 104. Even though we're in canopies, it was a grueling, very energy sapping day. But in the midst of that, I got to meet so many people in our community. There were so many visitors from nearby cities, Tullahoma and Manchester, and even as far as Dixon, which is about an hour away, McMinnville, another hour away. And it was so interesting to hear people say, "You're that moving meditation gal, aren't you? I've seen you. I follow you." And to me, that's music to my ears. Um, I don't want a title. I don't want. I want people to connect what I do with the chi, with the intrinsic energy of my brother Jesus here. And he, if you could see my office setup, Jesus is actually he's sitting right next to my desk. If the camera was right in front of me, you'd see He's not behind me. He's right next to me. And that's where I like to keep him. And the desire of my heart is to be his hands, to be his feet, to be his mouthpiece, and to bring people back right here, to quiet their nervous system down enough and help them to be still enough so that they can hear that still small voice and have a jump start on pulling away those veils of unconsciousness so that they can become fully conscious. So it was it's been a great, I mean, the last 2 months of being home. And I will testify that the moment I literally stepped out of the boat and walked out of my matrix job, everything shifted, everything. And I know there's no turning back. And to continue the dissection, so there was nothing wrong. Everything is going right. So it's not as if there's a reason for me to be in a blue funk. I'm not depressed by anything. I'm not in turmoil. Uh, we had a great visit with quite a few of our children this weekend. I talked to several of them via text, so that they're all good. Everything good, right? We went and saw Spider-Man with one of our sons who's a Marvel fan. We went and helped launch our granddaughter who's going back to Florida, and now she's still here for a couple more days. So again, good. So here we are. We come to today. What the heck is going on? So all day I've been asking that. I did my morning ritual. That all went great. I get out of the house on time. I drove into Manchester, which is about 30 minutes from here, and we had a great class. I had a returning student. It's summer, so a lot of times people go on vacation or have different things that they're involved in. So it was awesome to get to see her again. We had a visitor stop in for a portion of the class, which was awesome as well. And at the end, it was a great visit. And I love the social part of what I'm doing, connecting. And there is not a quote unquote student in my world. They're all friends. They're all family members now. Do you feel me? And when I left Soul Weavers, which is where I taught this morning, I had packed my things to go swimming at the pool in Manchester because they have a heated therapy pool, and I am working with some of my joint issues. And I used to teach water aerobics, so I know what to do in the water. And I had gotten myself a monthly pass so that I could do that. But I got out in my car and I just wasn't feeling it. And in fact, I drove to the pool and I was in the parking lot. Now, here's where the weirdness comes in. Now, this is the dissection, okay? So this is what's going on in your head. You know that you're off. You're not who you've been, right? You're not in your place of power. There's something awry with your day. That's where you're at. And so you start looking into it. No problems. Everything is groovy. Why didn't I want to go to the pool? And then here comes the deal. I was so proud of the fact that, I get this weekly report on my phone. You were on your phone 50 minutes less than you were last week. Hooray, hooray. This is like a great goal of mine, right? And so what did I do in the parking lot of the pool? I scrolled. I sat there with the car running when I could have went in, refreshed myself in that pool, worked my joints, continued the plan along the lines of what I had set out to do. But instead, I sat in my little car scrolling. That was so weird to me. And then after, I don't know how long, my concept of time is out the window today too. So no, I'm just going to go to the house. So I come to the house, and I know that I have to go to UPS. I have to pick up some things that I had printed. I needed to go talk to the dude that does my printing, and I had to return something that I got for this event that didn't work. I was going to return it to Amazon. And then I get there and I do the same thing. I'm sitting in the parking lot scrolling. And even as I'm doing it, I'm going, what the crap are you doing? Right? So see, it's off. It's like I've jumped backwards onto the former, maybe even the Terry hippie freak of the South timeline, right? And I know, and it's so interesting how you can share with others and you can know that I have known things since I was a kid, but I always kept them to myself because early on when I shared things, I was told I was weird and that wasn't true. And, you know, get your head out of the clouds, all of those things that most like workers hear. So you suppress them. So I know that I was off, just off, and I really didn't know why. So then I came back to the house. Another project. I have another house project. I just finished this office. There's maybe three things left that I need to do. I have ordered my backdrop for my podcast, and it'll be here in several days. I have a mirror across from my desk that I'm going to hang, and I have my whiteboard that I'm getting ready to actually set up so that it's like my control center because I have so much happening right now. And if you've followed me before, you know that I don't like structure. I don't like organization. I don't like planner books. I have one every year, but I always gravitate away from it because I don't want to be boxed in. Just like I find myself so often on the soapbox about my brother Jesus and about our creator God that he cannot be contained, y'all. He's omnipotent, he's omnipresent, he's everywhere, he's in everything, and we always try to contain him. And that's what I was trying to do too. I was trying to contain what I was going through. And he kept saying, this is why you're doing your podcast. Show people what you do, how you walk yourself through these uncomfortable sections of your dancer transformation. So maybe I'm having a wallflower moment. I'm standing off to the side and I'm saying, well, everybody else is moving on and I'm over here. And then other weird things. I was looking forward to a very healthy break fast. I generally have my mushroom coffee and I usually don't eat anything until noon or after, sometimes 2 o'clock. And no, still in Manchester, hanging out like again, there's my observer is saying, oh, there's guilt and shame again, because guilt and shame swept in. Well, what are you doing? You're wasting time. You're sitting here doing nothing. Oh, and then I pulled into a Shell station because I had to use the restroom. And the stinking bathroom was out of order. Do you think I just left the Shell station? No. I left the Shell station with a chicken biscuit. I don't even like biscuits, okay? I make them for my husband. He is a biscuit eater. But it's not one of my go-tos, okay? I prefer to stay away from carbs. And I only had a half a cup of mushroom coffee left today. So now, as I'm eating this chicken biscuit, which by the way was not even good, in fact, I think it was undercooked. Did that stop me from eating it? There it is again. That timeline jump backwards. And even as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, what the crap is going on, Teresa? What is, and even as this is happening, I'm saying, God, I don't know what's up, but something is not right in the Denmark world of my body, mind, and spirit. Something is not aligning. So then I'm on my way home and I'm thinking about it. I haven't sat before fire in no, I take that back. We had a bonfire at my daughter's on Saturday night. So that was the first time in about a month. That has to shift. Fire is so very important, especially in energy work. I am around a lot of people. I was around a lot of different energy yesterday. I could feel it. I had one person literally run away from my little area. I had one person that I could sense had a lot of darkness attached to to them, and that person didn't even come near the energy of my. In fact, the person looked at me and turned tail and went all the way to the other end of the Moonbow Market. And I am very aware, uberly aware, that you have to guard your own personal field of energy. And maybe I didn't do that. Maybe I picked up some static while I was out there in the community. Very entirely possible. I hadn't been spinning on a daily. Spinning is a very important movement in my world. I spin 21 times clockwise every single day, and I hadn't been doing that. And I was talking to one of my mystic, intuitive healers at the event, and definitely identified. For another example, I've been having a lot of heat in my root chakra, and I definitely would agree with my fellow worker that I've been holding on to a lot of energy. I haven't been letting things go after I share. So this is a little bit of self-care stuff. So now that goes into the dissection process, right? And then I haven't drank a whole lot of caffeine. I went from drinking a pot a day a month ago to having just a very tiny bit in this. What is the problem? I'm using Rise right now, which is it has a little bit of caffeine in it, and then it's got some adaptogen mushrooms in it. And that's been really good for me. But I was almost out of it this morning, and so I drank French press coffee. So that was different. So now I have a physiological change. And then I talked to several people that were dealing with some static in their own life, dealing with, uh, let's call it the mean girl spirit, dealing with shite stirrers. We get a lot of that online. I shared a couple of days back that I had my first stirring comment when I had posted something about a group meetup that I had attended. And so some of the people at the event yesterday were sharing some of that with me. And then lo and behold, I come home and just, out of the blue, somebody that always got under my skin just suddenly appeared in my feed again. And I don't know if that's set, I don't know. But that's another part of this dissection process. I thought, oh, I saw that person again, and I got sucked in for a minute, and I could feel that person's yuck energy. And I didn't protect myself. I let it enter in. And then I was like, oh, what am I doing? And I shut it off. And what you focus on, the energy that you focus on, you bring more of it to you and attach it to yourself. And so I probably did, all of the above. So now I have other people's static. I have former old stuff that I've already dealt with. I had a change in my what I was consuming I went back to the old habit of caffeine and feeling like I needed to put something in my face because that was my old way of coping. And whoo, whoo, wow. So now I come to the reality that, okay, now I can kind of see the full picture, and I appreciate you walking through this current dissection of what the heck was going on with my energy. This is the way we have to approach life. Because if we don't recognize, first off, those are the signs. You feel off, that's when you have to say to yourself, okay, and that's what my observer does. All right, we need to get in the lab. It's time to be the scientist, and I've been hearing her. And another big one is for a long time, uh, I'm embarrassed to say it's been a couple of months that God's been telling me, come away with me. Come away with me. What does that verbiage mean? In my world, when I hear my brother Jesus say, come away with me, I am being called into a fast. And that can be very different. It can be a water fast. It could be a fast from a certain food. It could be a fast from media. It could be a fast from speaking. And I'm not sure exactly what fast he wants me to do, but I have been avoiding that. I've been saying too much is happening, making excuses, and resistance causes suffering. It's like Lori Ladd. I just loved her story. She talked about we are trying, when we resist, we are literally trying to go into a raging river and move the rocks that have been there for centuries because we don't like the way the water is flowing. Instead of just getting in the boat, kicking our feet up and saying, take me, I'm going to go with the flow, right? And that's what I think I've been doing. I have been causing my own suffering. Now we'll end with, so how are you going to shift? How are you going to shift timelines back to the bliss? Because the last couple of months, 95% of my frequency has been back to bliss. Why? Because I am full on working my purpose. I love what I do. I love to speak to humanity, most especially eyeball to eyeball. And I got a lot of opportunity to do that these last 2 months. And it's growing exponentially. And it's so exciting and so fulfilling. You've heard the expression before, and it's very true. If you do what you love, you won't work a day in your life. No, I was made to serve humanity. I was made to help people. And my specific purpose is to help people slow down and reacquaint themselves with their spark of God, to be able to hear that still small voice again. And I do that in many ways. I share, I write, I do my moving meditations, and I am building a community of people that are becoming fully awake and beginning to share that very process with others. And it's so exciting. So, rain is heading in to Middle Tennessee, and my husband just got here. So, how will I turn it around? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a physical hug. My husband's a really good hugger. And we always tease each other, hey, man, I'm in hug depletion. Don't get yourself in hug depletion, y'all. Hug the people you love. I'm a hugger, so if you ever meet me in real time, you'll probably hear me say, hi, I'm Teresa Marie. What's your name? And after you tell me, I'm going to put my arms out and I'm going to say, I'm a hugger. Can I hug you? So that's number one. And then I will probably take myself outside and get my feet in the grass, especially as this soft rain is coming down. And then I will probably visit with my husband a little bit and make him a good meal and be his servant for a little bit. And then I will probably close out the evening by reading. I haven't read today. And so, and then of course, movement. I'll probably do a seated moving meditation before the night's over. Fire would be nice. If the rain will cooperate, I will do that as well. So all the things that I know to do, and that's where that scripture says, if you know to do good and you don't do it, then you are keeping yourself in that blue funk. So in closing, when you feel off, humanity, when you feel like you're back to being a human doing, where you feel overwhelmed or stressed, you know when you're not in your flow. When that happens, pause, take a few Sila moments, pause and ponder, and acknowledge, okay, God, I'm not right now. And as soon as I can, because if you're at work or if you're in the middle of whatever it is that you're doing, you often can't stop and begin to dissect in your head and in your heart, right? But you acknowledge it. I know I'm off and I'm on it. And as soon as I can, I'm going to be that personal scientist and I'm going to ascertain by the process of elimination, I'm going to do my own dissection of what is occurring. And then you go through the list. Is there anything majorly happening? What's going on in your body? What have your thought patterns been? Did you have a trigger or two that came into your world and maybe that shifted you out of alignment? And then, of course, once you dissect it, there's a relief that comes from just doing that part of it. And then you make your plan. You pull out your tool belt. If it's music, if it's art, you bring something back into your world to reconnect you with the higher self that you are beginning to embody. And then you can kind of feel yourself flow a little easier. So I thank you, Humanityville, for being part of my science class today. Because as you can tell, the joy has come back. The flow has come back. The joy of the Lord is our strength. That's Nehemiah 8:10. It's my life verse. And so when I feel like I'm not in that joy space anymore, I know that something's off. I know that I am in a weakened, disempowered space, and nobody's going to come and rescue me from that. In fact, if I do nothing, then I could go further down that path. And you don't want to digress and end up going, because I tell you, you work so hard doing the inner stuff and pulling yourself out of those old ruts and patterns and programs, right? But the most rapid part is that slippery slope. So it's very important to catch it early. Otherwise, you can go whoa, 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 and find yourself way further down the pipe than you want to be. So I hope maybe my dissection of my blue funk day has helped you identify what to do when you get in that funky mood. And right now, I'm just going to thank God for all of us. I am going to ask Him to bless us all with the greatest health, with the most vibrant energy, and of course, lots and lots and lots of peace. So until next time, please hit the like button. I would love it if you left a comment. Maybe you can share what you do when you get in the blue funk. It would be so nice to know that you have listened and you have thoughts from what I shared. That would be awesome. So until next time, you'll find me on YouTube, freetojustbe.com, and I love you, Humanityville. Have yourself a magnificent Monday night. Woohoo!